Hi, friends. Forgive the lopsided, poorly done. I'm just using my cell phone for this. As you know, I've done a lot of documentaries over the years. I went to Africa twice, and I've worked on, several documentaries on occasion. This one's a little different. This one's kind of on me. Quite a few years now, close to 30 or 40 years ago, my health is steadily, my physical body has gone downhill over the years. It's gotten quite serious lately, and that's why I haven't been on YouTube except to produce videos and work behind the scenes. And right now, I'm in a hotel room in Tijuana, Mexico, and I'm right above, and I showed this in another video. I'm right above the clinic here in Tijuana at the Grand Hotel, and I'm having some tests done and for this process, but I want to document my journey to wellness.
Every day's a chance to start anew. We rise up from the grave. Open windows, let the sunlight in. Let's chase the clouds away. Feel the weight inside your chest. Emotions tangle like a vine. Breathe in deep, let it out slow. It's a journey, we'll be fine. Let go of worries, let go of fears. Embrace a healthy life. It's time to turn the page. Step out, let the healing light. From the ground up, we reclaim our dreams. With whole foods and laughter, we'll find our gleam. Healthy choices, organic fruits and greens. Living our best lives, we'll weave our seams. Let's thrive again. Through the storms and the strife, with everybody's sunshine, we're lifting our life. 100% grass-fed, heart and soul in the meal. Sleep tight, wake up bright, that's the real deal. Rise up and walk in the sun, feel the joy come alive. Together we're stronger, we've got the drive. Shake off the toxins, say goodbye to the haze. No more seed oils, we're in a healthier phase. Fruits like jewels on the table that shine. Colors of the rainbow, blessings by design. Here's to movement, to laughter and cheer. To the love from a chiropractor, bringing us near. With every adjustment, energy flows. New paths unfolding like beautifully grows. Let's thrive again, through the storms and the strife. With every bite of sunshine, we're lifting our life. 100% grass-fed, heart and soul in the meal. Sleep tight, wake up bright, that's the real deal. Rise up and walk in the sun, feel the joy come alive. Together we're stronger, we've got the drive. So take my hand, we'll journey together through the highs and the lows, like a life fed, vibrant and bold. We'll face the day bright. Health is our anthem, a beautiful flight. Let's thrive again in this life so divine. Together we'll rise like the sun, we'll shine. With love in our hearts and health from the soul. Every step we take brings us closer to home.
I have just over the years, from stress and emotional, physical, and chemical, just a lot of things. And some of the things that I did in the past is kind of caught up with me. And you'll learn as we progress through this documentary, um, you know, um, a lot of the things that has led up to this.
I'm going to record this because you're probably like on an iPad.
No,
And
I'm on a laptop, which is connected to a bigger screen.
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because this, it won't allow you to record. So I'm going to send you a copy of the recording.
Oh, good. Oh,
But
good.
this, brother, I mean, you've been going through hell.
I know last night was really bad. I only got about an hour and 52 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
I've been monitoring it with my Fitbit,
Hmm.
and oh,
Yeah.
come on,
And that's something you're going to get rid of right away.
why it's not accurate?
No, no, not only not accurate, it damages your brain because
What?
that those sensors vibrate between 5 and 8 hertz, which is that frequency is the same as your brain. So it's not a good thing because your great great grandpa slept like a friggin' baby. And do you know what electronic device he used to get good sleep?
None, none.
Good, good, good. Just checking. I want to make sure that you're still here.
Thank you. I am so sorry. I am so rummy, so groggy from not sleeping. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's scary, and sometimes I get a little emotional. So if I get a little choked up,
Oh,
please.
buddy, I don't blame you. Figure sleep deprivation, that's still one of the number one tortures.
Yeah.
You'll break down a Navy SEAL guy in a week. Okay. No, no, no. We're gonna get that fixed. But
I've got this, you know, curvature. I don't know if you can see it very
oh yeah,
well.
yeah, I can see it crystal clear.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I've been using this.
Awesome.
Well, what I don't understand is that you said elbow,
Yeah, bottom of the elbow is the bottom of the roll.
bottom the elbow, right
Bottom of
about
the
here.
elbow is the bottom of the roll. Exactly. That's exactly where it
But,
goes.
but the hump is up here. So I was just curious as to
Yeah.
why that
Yeah, the hump
made
is
a
there to
difference.
take pressure off of the heart. Anybody with a hump like that,
Oh,
typically they're going to have heart palpitations, cardiac arrhythmias. And
oh,
that's the
please.
body getting pressure off of that. Yeah. So how old are you?
I'm 64.
Okay, good. So I'm your senior, so you got to listen to me.
Okay.
Okay. Now, did you get the COVID shot?
No,
Hot damn. Now, what
no
kind of drugs?
vaccine, no flu, no none of that shit.
What kind of drugs do you take?
I don't take any. I take a lot of supplements. My
No, no, no. Don't
holistic.
tell me the supplements. No, because
Oh,
because you don't need a lot of them.
oh no.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
holistic daughter gave me a bunch because we had blood tests, and she said my everything is fine except for my testosterone. I'm lacking in B vitamins,
yeah,
um, C, and magnesium and
yeah.
stuff.
And a really smart doctor, okay, will find out why you're short in B vitamins because that has to do with the intestinal tract because bacteria produce the B vitamins. So that means you have a gut issue, not that a
Yes,
vitamin deficiency.
yeah,
Okay,
my gut
so
is-
yeah, so telling me what other doctors have given you is absolutely less than helpful, knowing that you're in a psychotic world.
oh
Okay,
boy.
it's kind of like
Well,
talking to somebody and say, "Well, my witch doctor just sacrificed this virgin, and it stuck some pins in a Koopy doll." Okay, now, okay, so now, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a freight broker.
Okay, so office, a whole bunch.
Yes, a whole bunch. And I
Totally
try to
cool.
get up and walk as much as possible. I also do the neck exercises.
Okay,
My lovely wife, when you first talked about this a few years ago, made these little towel things
awesome,
for me. But
awesome.
then I didn't know if that was correct or not. So I went and bought one of your, and
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a 4x4 for the foot. So
yeah.
I'm just wondering, am I doing this correctly though?
Kind of, kind of. So what you're going to do, you're going to pull down with about 2 to 5 pounds of pressure, and you point
Right.
your chin to the ceiling, so you're stretching this, and then you look straight ahead and relax the pressure on it. So you look straight ahead, so you're holding intermittent pressure. So you pull down, look up, look straight, and relax it. Yeah. And since you're at the desk all day long, you're going to do 20 of those every hour. Okay, but
20
now
every hour?
what kind of operations have you had?
None.
You still
Well,
got the
except for my eye.
tonsils?
I had cataract surgery and detached retinas, and I've got glaucoma in this eye. Which,
Okay.
when I spend time out in the sun, which
that's another problem is we haven't seen the sun in about 2 weeks. We've been
Yeah.
socked in with fog. Today's the first time I ever got to walk out for 10 minutes at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was able to spend 10 minutes out looking
Okay.
towards the sun.
Okay,
So
cool. So now let's get you healthy. So first off, I'm going to give you a no charge half-hour consult if you find a chiropractor that has any questions, because I'm going to send you a list of x-rays that we have to get. Okay, now these
I've
x-rays are going to be,
tried to get a hold of chiropractors and stuff, and they can't even. Every time I send those questions,
yeah.
those questions, they
Oh, yeah.
all immediately they say we don't do X-rays.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever cut your hand slicing tomatoes?
All the time.
Yeah. Did it ever heal?
Yeah. Well,
All
I've
the
got
time. All the time.
uh,
So to tell me about an injury of a disc, which discs heal within a couple of weeks.
well,
Okay.
I did go through physical therapy and it
Again,
took
that doesn't regenerate the disc.
yeah, because
Okay.
the bulge still shows up on the X-rays.
And no shit. I know. So it is not a disc herniation. Okay. The MRIs are inaccurate. The way to assess it is through a standing weight-bearing X-ray. And when you fell and hurt your low back, they just looked at the area of pain, x-rayed, MRI'd the area of pain. They're not looking that the thoracic area is completely laterally deviated. They're not looking at the contributing factors. Okay, so none of that's going to be helpful. Okay, I'm going to send you a list of x-rays that we need to get because we're going to look from the nose to the toes. Because the big thing is every human being has an automatic nervous system. That's
Right.
where the problem lies. And you could be in stress, which is sympathetic, or you could be in regeneration, which is parasympathetic. And that regeneration is located in the neck and the pelvis. That's why if you take your shoe off and look at your foot, you're going to see your big toe is leaning towards the other toes. Yeah, because you want that big toe leaning away from the other toes, not towards them.
Right. Because I don't wear shoes that much. I like to go barefooted. I do a lot of grounding. I walk in my backyard and everything I do. I do a lot of grounding. And I've got grounding mats and I bought a grounding sheet for my bed as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh my God, you're making it super easy.
Well,
So
I'm
now,
trying because I've been following your videos and everything. And when I tried to follow your videos and everything and do the reading, shut the lights off and darken the curtains and do all that stuff. And I'm all tired. I'm ready to go to bed. I read a book for about 20 minutes to a half hour before I go to bed. I do the breathing. I do the
okay,
deep breathing.
let me go over the stuff that we have to figure out the problem.
Okay.
There's three things you have to fix: physical, chemical, emotional stress. The x-rays are just going to identify physical stressors. To have an idiot chiropractor say, I'm afraid to even touch you, that is a person with absolutely no skills. Okay.
Right.
They have no clue how to read an MRI or an x-ray. Okay. So the physical stress, that's going to be identified on the x-ray. Now, luckily, I'm going to send you the pelvic health video. And this is, you're already doing the exercises. Okay. That foam roll, it's going to be placed back there 20 minutes in, 10 minutes out, 20 minutes in,
Yeah.
10 minutes out. And the
Boy,
reason
this one hurts.
yeah.
The towel isn't so bad, but this one hurts.
Yeah, it is going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's up right at the junction of the rib cage and low back. Now, this is a critical area because that's the end of the spinal cord. So any pressure on that area negatively affects the entire gastrointestinal tract. So that's one. Okay, and it's going to be back there 20 minutes and take it out for 10 minutes. So if you're sitting for 5 hours, 20 and 10, 20 and 10 the whole time. Then the pelvic health video also shows a trochanter support, and I'll send you the link because we got to stabilize the pelvis. You're also going to see on there leg swinging. Okay, and what you're going to see is by dangling your legs, and ideally you have about 10 pounds per leg, ankle weights, and you may see it may be hard to swing both legs together even because you want one out, one back, one out, one back. They may be hard to swing, and that's okay because we have to get both halves of the brain to fire. So, and you're also going to see the calf stretch, and that's the 4x4, the block of wood. And you can actually go to Home Depot and look at the scrap bin.
I have some contractor friends that come and work on our house.
Oh, beautiful.
They're gonna bring me block.
Yeah, that it's super simple. And I like stuff that's simple. Because when we look at the x-rays, you're going to have loss of curve in the neck, you're going to have a lateral deviation. That's why your body is rounding over. That increased curve called a hyperkyphosis is actually your body adapting to some type of spinal trauma. Okay, now that long-term trauma is going to put you in the fight or flight state. And the ability to rest, digest, and repair is located in the pelvis and the neck. So the pelvic health video is ideal. Now, we got to clean up your blood because the blood holds oxygen. And since you've been in a chronic state of stress for a long time, the brain is going to be in a stress state. This is why we're looking at emotional highs and lows.
Right.
Because that little 2-pound brain burns 90% of the body's oxygen. The weird thing is, there's nothing wrong with your body or brain. It's functioning correctly based on the stress.
Okay.
Okay, so it's functioning correctly. So when you go to stupid doctors and they say, oh, start taking magnesium, that will help you sleep. Oh, take this herb, that'll knock you out. Take this Sominex. Okay, none of that stuff makes sense. We have to address your body.
No good.
Again, yeah, you can tell me all the crazy stuff you're doing, but none of that stuff matters. Okay, we're going to address the underlying stressors, then your body is going to be able to sleep correctly. Now, the juicing, apple, carrot, beet, and celery. So when you're tasting it, be open to changing the formula. You may want more beets, you may want more apples, you may want more carrots, you may want 2 liters. You might want 3, you might need half of one. Okay. But we've got to clean out those filters. So listening to the doctor within, that's going to be ideal. Now, supplements, you don't need many. You only need 6. And that's going to be high dose vitamin C. And Vitality C with ribose is the best, but super high dose. And I'm talking enough to get diarrhea. So, maybe 5 grams, maybe 10 grams, maybe 15 grams. Okay, but you keep taking the vitamin C until you get diarrhea. Okay. Then omega-3s from small fish, anchovy, mackerel, sardine. Those are going to be the key.
Okay.
And then, and both the vitamin C and omega-3s are antioxidants. And these things are going to help you because you're breaking and building 1 billion cells a day. And most of that construction occurs at night. So you have to inundate your body with antioxidants. So vitamin C to bowel tolerance, that means diarrhea. When you get diarrhea, you scale back. Then omega-3s from small fish, anchovy, mackerel, sardine. Vitamin D3 and K2, and it's best to get those in food sources. So that's going to be dark green.
I do have your K and D.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, but we got to inundate your body. You're not going to do too much, particularly with you living in a low sunlight area. Anything because you're far north of the equator. You can do the pills, but also look at dark green leafy vegetables, super high in vitamin K, and look at fatty fish like salmon, wild caught salmon, healthy cows, okay, that are without hormones. All of those things.
I get the grass-fed beef.
Perfect. Okay, and listen to your cravings because your body's smarter. Then iodine. Lugos iodine is the best. And we get ours from Ancient Purities, but iodine is essential because you have a massive exposure to fluoride, bromine, and chloride. Okay, and those are all halides. So you've got to do 10 to 20 drops of iodine a day.
Okay, and you sell that in your shop?
Yep. And I'd recommend you also, mix it with a little bit of water and take them in the morning because you're going to have energy throughout the day like crazy. And then you need a plant-based mineral supplement. Now, sea moss is one of the best. Okay, so sea moss pills are okay, but if you can get the actual Irish sea moss really make it. You've got to soak it for about 18 hours. You got to rinse it, then you got to blend
You
it.
can't get it in the jar then.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really hard to find it already jarred up. Okay, let's say that you sleep 6 hours the first day and you still feel like shit. Okay, don't do it.
Okay.
Because to do this, realize that lack of sleep has a similar effect as alcohol. So your reaction time is going to be impaired in the first week. So whether you should or shouldn't, that's going to be a decision up to you.
Right.
You know, whether you need or not, but just know that your reaction time will be impaired. Okay. And that's why I say adjust your lifestyle accordingly. You can, or you just get your butt down here and we do all the everything. Because I doubt if you're going to find, I'm going to send you a list of x-rays that I need.
Okay.
I highly doubt you're going to find a chiropractor that's going to be able to take them. And I guarantee you're not going to find a medical doctor that's going to understand.
You want to stay away from air bubbles like those because that everything just gets squished up. Okay. I'm going to record this for your file.
Okay.
And I'll explain what we're looking at in a minute. I want you to pay attention to the shape of the cells, like this one's completely oddly shaped.
Right.
The background needs to be completely dark. The amount of flickering dots in the background is relevant. We'll talk about that. Cells need to be purple with a dark center, not a light or green colored center. Like what you're seeing there. Cells need to be separate from one another, not overlapping. There's a little bit of overlap. And again, I'll explain in detail what all that might mean. See that those white lines in the background, that's fiber information.
Fiber?
Fibrin.
Fibrin.
Fibrin, yeah. There again, a little bit of inflammation in the system. There again. Zoom out. Okay, perfect. And if your fingers stop bleeding, you can throw that away.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is, again, we're looking at your blood under the microscope. Your blood is made up of 3 types of cells: red blood cells, which are all the purple ones; white blood cells, which are the shiny, larger ones.
Okay.
Okay, and then platelet cells, which are cloud-like stains, oddly shaped. Okay, those are platelets.
And this is magnified how many times?
This is 40 times, but it's a little bit more than that because then we zoom in with the camera a little bit more.
Okay.
This is around 40 times, 40 to 50. Okay, now this right here, what we're looking at is we're looking at the quality of your blood. Okay, so red blood cells should be completely round in shape, separate from one another. They can touch, they should not overlap. Okay, now we are seeing a lot of cells that are a little bit oddly shaped, which can indicate oxidative stress from prolonged inflammation in the body, or it can indicate poor regeneration patterns. Okay, it can be one, two, or both. Okay, so based on the amount of information that I'm seeing, I think it can be a little bit of both. Okay, now white blood cells look normal. It's a little bit heightened, but you did travel, so you're out of your environment. That can just mean your immune system is a little bit high. And then the platelet cells are basically to stop your finger from bleeding. They have healing factors, inflammatory factors, growth factors are involved in many different processes. Actually, the fiber information is part of that's coming from the platelet activity. Okay, fibrin is an inflammatory protein. okay, the body forms. So if we see a lot of fibrin, or we see fibrin form quickly when we take the sample out, that can indicate a pro-inflammatory or chronic inflammatory state. Okay, so I'm seeing a little bit of inflammation going on with you, and I'm definitely seeing some cells that are oddly shaped, so that can indicate, again, a little bit of oxidative stress. Now, in the background, you're going to notice that there's a lot of flickering dots. Those flickering dots, they can be within normal limits, high or very low. Okay, in your case, you're a little bit more on the higher end of the spectrum. That means you're on the more hyperactive side. That can indicate more of either an acute stressor, or right now your nervous system is responding to something, right? So we can see a little bit more of an acute response stress. When we see like a snowstorm of activity, that tends to be something that we only see when there's more of like a neurodegenerative issue, like multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's, something like that, right? If we see very low activity, that tends to correlate more with very poor sleep patterns or chronicity of stress where the system is already toned down. So with you, because we haven't done the consultation, but based on what I'm seeing here, there's definitely some chronicity of stress. The fact that we're seeing this high in activity, that means that even though there's chronicity of stress, your nervous system is still higher functioning. Okay, so that's good because the system is not fully fatigued yet. Okay. Now the cells that do have lighter colored centers or green colored centers, we didn't see that many, but that can indicate more of a gut disruption or absorption issues. Okay. Any questions about any of this?
Nope.
Yeah, so based on the amount of inflammation that I'm seeing here and the shape of the cells, the anti-inflammatory protocol that we have as far as IVs, if you're interested in getting any IVs, would be something that I'd recommend.
Okay.
Okay, so first and foremost, it's important to understand that the human neck should curve in the front, okay?
Right.
And although you still have a lot of that curve left, it's actually a compensatory pattern, so you still have that curve left, but because you have a forward head carriage of about 70 plus millimeters, okay? I was gonna say inches, that's 70 plus millimeters, okay? So the head being forward that much, if you had a reverse neck, then you would be looking down. So the fact that you're still looking up is good. You still have some curve there, but you have a bunch of degeneration occurring, especially at the bottom of the neck, which is where most of the stress is, okay? Because that's
Right.
part of the neck that's taking all the grunt work.
I wonder if it's
Okay.
been doing all those neck exercises, that's probably been helping.
It might be helping, yeah, but you still have that curve there, so that's good, but we want to get that head back, okay?
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about that. Now, when we have degeneration occurring in the neck and loss of curve and forward head carriage, that puts a lot of stress on the nerves that exit the neck and go down to the arms. Now, luckily for you, all the reflexes are functioning perfectly, which is good news because that means the nerves are functioning, okay? And that means we can get corrections. Now, when we look at the low back, okay, and all throughout your spine, you have something that's called diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, DISH, okay, or Forrester's disease. Have you ever been told of that?
Never.
Okay, so
They just told me I had like scoliosis or something.
no, it's not really scoliosis. You do have a little bit of a lateral curve, and we're going to be talking about that. But basically, you've been in an inflammatory state for a long time, and your regeneration patterns in your body have not been the best. So you've been laying down minerals where you should be laying down cartilage and ligament tissues. So we're seeing ossification of certain tissues. In your case, the ligaments that cover the spine, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay, and you also have an old compression fracture
Right.
in the transitional area of your low back, which is very common right around L1. That means that at some point that vertebra collapsed. Okay. Now, with that being said, that's created a reversal of the curve in the low back and compression of some of the nerves in that area, and that can affect nerves that go down into the gut, but also down into the pelvis and all the way down to the legs. Okay, so we're going to be seeing a lot of that as well. Now, that means that some of the organs are being affected. When we look at the scans, there's 3 scans that we did, and they should be 95, 95, 95 or more. Okay, this first one, heart rate variability, helps us measure the amount of stress that you're under and how your body is adapting to that stress. Okay, again, it should be 95 or more. We're going to look at this same test with this graph because it's easier to understand and explain. So when we look at this graph right here, it's showing the autonomic nervous system. I'm sure you're familiar with this if you've spoken with Dr. Bergman.
Right.
The autonomic nervous system has two parts, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is your fight or flight response. Parasympathetic is your rest, digest, and repair response.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we have two modes. We're either surviving stress or we're regenerating tissue. We can't be doing both at the same time.
Right.
Okay? Now, when we look at this, we should be balanced and high functioning up here in this normal green zone. That's where you should be. And you, my friend, are down here in what's considered a chronic state of stress. The problem with being there is the longer you're there, the more the system will tend to decline. So we have to identify the stressors that are keeping you there so we can balance the system out and bring it up here into a normal high functioning state. Sort of like you're being chased by an imaginary lion all the time. Your body's getting fatigued, that nervous system's getting fatigued, and you're not regenerating tissue efficiently. So we have to identify those stressors. And those stressors are right here. Two of those stressors are right here. Now, muscle tone imbalance, this one directly correlates to what we're going to be seeing with those x-rays. And what this means is that you have buckling and bending in the spine, so muscles have to constantly, your postural muscles have to constantly compensate to maintain your presence with gravity. This means that at the end of the day, you're way more tired than what you need to be. Like I said, we're going to see it with those x-rays. So as we start getting corrections to the spine, we should see this number go up. So that's a good news. Okay, and then organ and gland control, this one can be affected by vaccines, medications, toxic foods, toxins basically, but also by nerve interference. And what this number being this low shows, it shows that you're at a metabolically imbalanced state where you're tearing down more tissue than you're building up. Like we said earlier, you're not regenerating efficiently. So it's not that you're sick, you're just not in an optimal state of health, right? You're in a chronic state of stress, you're in a fatigue state, and you're in a metabolically imbalanced state. So we have to get this up, right? That's a goal. Now, one of the challenges you have going on is you have some arthritis in the spine. That means you have some degeneration in the spine, okay? And arthritis is actually a protective mechanism of the spine, okay? When we look at arthritis and we look at DISH, okay, what DISH is, it's a type of arthritis, basically. So you have degenerative arthritis going on in some segments of the spine, but you also have DISH, right? Which is that ossification or calcification of the ligament that runs in the front of the spine. Now, I want you to see this so that you can appreciate what we're going to be looking at on those x-rays, okay? This is the front of the spine, this is the back of the spine, this is the side of the spine. These are the nerves as they exit the spine through little holes called neural foramen. That translates to nerve holes, okay? And then the discs, which are like ligaments that connect one bone to the next and allow movement, but also protect against gravity, right? They act like cushions. Now, I want you to put your finger right in there where the nerve would exit, just so you can appreciate
Let's see,
if
right
that
there.
becomes misaligned, that can put pressure on that nerve, interfering in the communication between the brain and the body back into the brain. Now, vertebrae can go forward, backward, they can tilt, they can go in all sorts of directions, rotate. The longer they stay out of position, the more degeneration that's going to occur, the more problems that are going to occur, the more dysfunction there's going to be in the body. Now, right here are the nerves in the neck that go into the neck, face, head area, and you have basically a degeneration occurring at the bottom of the neck, and you have straightening of that curve, and then a forehead carriage of about 76 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Here you have some buckling and bending in this area of the spine, and that's the sympathetic supply chain to the heart. You don't want to add extra stress to the heart.
No.
And then down here, you have a reversal of the curve of a compression fracture in this area and ligamentous ossification in this area down here, which is going to create extra stress to the nerves that go into the gut. Okay? So we're seeing a little bit of that with you. Now, this is not you, but I want to show you this so you can appreciate what we're going to be seeing with you. What we're doing here is we're marking the middle of the spine as we go down. That's what that white line is showing. And this should be as close to a straight line as it can. Now, this is not very straight. This is a perfect example of an old case of Dr. Bergman's that he describes. Had heart palpitations, pressure in the chest, tightness between the shoulder blades. He loss of breath without any physical exertion, something like, and it goes away, right? Randomly. This right here, that's extra stress to the chest and heart area. That's not good. This took about 90 days for this correction. So it went from bad to better to you. Okay? So when we look at your spine, you have 10 degrees here, 11 degrees here, and 8 degrees here of buckling and bending, right? So that's almost 30 degrees of buckling and bending in this area of the spine, and these are the nerves that go to the heart. You don't want that extra stress to the heart, so we have to address this. That's actually one of the reasons why we're seeing this. When we look at your posture, okay? Down here, look at where your ear is compared to your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is some sort of physical stressor, big accident, injury, something that causes stress to the nerves to go to the heart, and then the head starts getting thrown forward to de-stress those nerves. Okay, so it's actually a normal adaptation, but we have to correct it, and we're going to do just that. Okay, we have to get this head to come back. All right. Now, when we look at your posture from the front, you can see that that right shoulder or left shoulder is way higher than the right shoulder. Okay, so we also have to address that. That's all coming from that neck. Now, this is your neck, but before I show you your neck, again, let me show you what a normal neck or close to a normal neck should look like. This is the curve of the neck, right? Your curve in the front, top of the neck in line with the bottom of the neck, which is what you have going on, right? Top of the neck in line with the bottom of the neck. And this right here, the discs, to maintain its height, to maintain movement, and again, protection. It acts like a spring against gravity when you have this curve. This is how this patient came in. She came in with a reversal of the curve and a forehead carriage of 27 millimeters. Now, this creates several problems. Every 25 millimeters or so that the head goes forward doubles the weight of the head on the muscles of the neck. Okay? Reversal of the curve here puts extra stress on these joints, which is going to create more degeneration. And then you're also narrowing the space where the spinal cord travels, which increases pressure. And by reversing the cord, you're also increasing tension. So, not good. This correction took about 60 visits. Now, that's that patient. Now, let's look at this. Okay? So, when we look at your neck, okay, the bones are starting to degenerate. You see how spiky it looks here, here, and here. That's degeneration occurring. That's arthritis. And it's happening right at the base of the neck down here. Why? Because the head's thrown forward 76 millimeters. So your head weighs about 3 times more than what it should. Okay? To your neck muscles. Now, if that's happening, the reason why this is under most degeneration, not the top, is because this joint down here, we're taking all the grunt because that's what's holding your head, right at the bottom. So this is going to degenerate faster over time, which is already occurring. So we have to get this back. We have to get this back. How do we know we can actually get this corrected? Well, we're going to have you look up, and this is good news. This means we can actually get some corrections here, okay?
Oh, okay.
Why? Because every joint is still moving. The only joint that's not moving as much is right around C6 and C7. And this is actually where that ossification of that ligament occurs, which is going to be harder to fix, okay? However, we can still get some corrections, okay? And I'll give you an example because we've had a patient here before where we saw a huge improvement, even though there's ossification of those ligaments. However, I am not gonna just pass it over. It is harder to fix because that ligament is already ossified. So it's harder to move a bone when the ligament's already ossified, okay? But this can be corrected, so that's a good news though, okay? We can get some corrections there. Now this is you standing straight, looking at us, and not very straight. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, not only that, there is a little bit of a leaky gut issue, and you're going to see it from the side a little bit better. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So that leaky gut, okay, when we see gut, that's going to create inflammation, okay? That gut is your second brain. So if we want to heal and we're going to correct neurologically what's going on, we have to heal the gut. If the gut's not absorbing nutrients correctly, okay, then that is also going to add to the fact that you're depositing minerals because you don't have the right building blocks to heal tissue. Okay, so we have to correct energy. We have to correct, that means we have to correct sleep. We have to correct your nervous system activity, and we have to correct your gut. We have to heal your gut. Now, when we look at your low back from the side, this actually explains a little bit of what's going on with that gut. This curve, you see how it reverses?
Yeah.
This curve should be like this.
Wow.
Like that. Okay? This is basically, you have a tiny curve here and then a reversal of the curve there. Now, you see how you can actually make out a perfect line coming in the front?
Yeah.
That's that ossification of that anterior longitudinal ligament that I was
Wow.
talking about. Okay? That ligament, you should not see a white line there. Now, you see the white line here and a little bit here. That's your abdominal aorta. So the aorta is also getting a little bit of an ossification process to the walls of the aorta, the muscle walls of the aorta, which again is not concerning, as in it's not something that you have to worry about as far as being emergency or anything like that. However, it is indicating poor regeneration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this right here, I want you to see the shape of the vertebra. This is a square, a rectangle here, another rectangle here, another rectangle here, another
Right.
one here. And then you see this one, how it narrows on the front and widens in the back.
Yeah.
That's that wedge fracture. Okay? That means that it collapsed in the front. So it never really created issues because it didn't collapse in the back, which is good news. So it's not a
Well, there was a time where I was getting like pain spasms,
yeah, that's probably where that was coming from.
but that was a long time ago, and I started
Yeah, this is that fracture. We're talking minimum 15 plus years.
15. Yeah, yeah,
Minimum.
right.
It's an old fracture. It's not a new fracture, and it's not unstable, or else this would be really concerning. Okay,
Right.
but it's not unstable.
Yeah,
which
well,
is
I don't have those pain spasms anymore. It's
But we
been
still have to correct it, and that's why your body's adapting, right? Your body's adapting, and it's trying to stabilize that region. Now, the problem is that this right here, over where the nerves that go to the gut are, so that's adding extra stress to the gut, okay? Now, this right here is you standing straight, looking at us, okay? And when we look at this, okay, we want to see how those discs are moving. So when you bend over to the right side, it should be narrow on the inside, wide on the outside, okay? So we should be seeing this. If we see something like this with the discs, then we know those discs aren't functioning correctly. So when we have you lean over,
Well, when I had an MRI, they were showing that the discs were like compressed.
yeah,
Yeah.
the discs are compressed a little bit.
But those can be fixed then.
Those, as long as they're in your body, we can still get some corrections.
Awesome.
Now when you lean over to the left side, okay, out of 5 discs, you have 2 that are moving and 3 that are not. And when you lean over to the right side, out of 5 discs, you have 1 that's moving and 4 that are not. So when we look at the whole picture, we could say there are some disc injuries, some discs that are compressed, some disc bulges, degeneration, ossification of ligaments. All those things are true, but all that is has been traumas, and your body's been adapting your whole life. That's all that is.
Wow.
And we can get corrections. Now this is your knees. Your knees are not in bad shape, kind of. And what I mean by that is there's space there. There's not bone on bone.
Right.
There's very little degeneration occurring, so that's good. However, you see where the kneecap is? See how far off to the side there it is and up? That should be down here in the center.
Oh boy.
So that right there, that kneecap being so far off, is indicating muscles that are firing off in abnormal patterns or compensatory patterns. And that indicates an issue with the low back and the pelvis. So it's not really an issue with the knees, it's an issue coming from the low back.
Oh, so if we correct the low back,
We should see the knees function.
it needs to go back. Okay.
Now this right here is your thermography scan. More than looking at the colors, I want you to pay attention to the symmetry. This side should be completely symmetrical to this side. We're looking to a mirror, like looking at a mirror image. And it's not. We're seeing a lot of inflammation come from the mouth area. I'm guessing you already got that checked out, or you got to get it checked out.
What,
So,
the teeth?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So inflammation coming from the mouth, and we are seeing inflammation in the dental lung lymph drainage on the right upper chest, and also inflammation in the left upper chest, which is gut drainage, gut lymph drainage.
Oh,
So there's inflammation coming from those areas, and then pressure inside the skull, which is not a surprise based on the amount of forehead carriage that you have.
okay.
Now, when we look at this from the side, there's definitely some inflammation coming from the mouth and from the lymph nodes. So that might be either a low-grade infection or heavy metals or cavities, something, whatever they found. And but look at this. I mean, this is pressure inside the skull. Don't take this the wrong way, but you don't have a lot of hair in this area, which means that that area should have cooled down significantly. But because your head's thrown forward so much, that's pressure inside the skull. So even though the skin cooled down inside, there's so much heat signals that we're still seeing that pressure inside the skull. Okay? So brain fog, memory issues, concentration issues, balance issues, all the things that we already discussed. There's new, there's chronic, and there's permanent injuries. Luckily for you, nothing that we're seeing on those x-rays is permanent except the fracture. I can't make bone regrow, right? The fracture and the calcifications or ossifications, we can still get corrections, but that can take some time, okay? Because that's taken years and years of mineral deposits and poor regeneration patterns. So we can still get corrections, but it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. But we can still do it, okay? We can still get some corrections. Now, with that being said, everything that we're seeing with you is chronic, okay? Most of the things we're seeing with you are chronic. That means we can still get corrections. Now, biggest challenge that you have going on is you have that DISH, right? The diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, but also arthritis in the spine, degeneration of the spine. It's called degenerative disc disease, to be more specific. That compression of the discs that you said you found, yeah, that's what we're seeing, degenerative disc disease. But I'm going to make it super simple for you. If those bones, those joints are misaligned or out of place, then they're going to distort, they're going to change shape, they're going to degenerate. The longer they stay out of place, the more problems that are going to occur. Okay? And there's only two things you can do to make this get worse. One, do nothing about it. Two, get the wrong care. And I promise you, they're going to continue to get worse. Right? If you realign those joints, you get them to move properly, then you get the nervous system function correctly, and you get your body to heal. You get that joint to heal. Okay? To get you to heal, there's three things that we need to do. The first one, when we're talking about getting you out of pain, I'm not really even talking about the neck pain, low back pain, knee pain, okay? What I'm really talking about when we talk about getting you out of pain, okay, because those types of superficial pain symptoms, we're talking 8 to 10 adjustments, you start noticing complete changes in symptoms. When we're talking about getting you out of pain, I'm really talking about that anxiety state, okay? I'm talking about that depression state. I'm talking about that fatigue state, okay? That sleep deprivation state. Those are the real killers of health, okay? Getting you out of that stress state, period. Now, to get you to heal, okay, we need to get that curve back in the neck. Get the bones realigned, get the curve back in the low back, right? Get the nervous system firing correctly. We need to get this back to 95, 95, 95. This is the part that really takes the time. For that reason, I am recommending 60 adjustments, and it's not 60 adjustments for you to feel better, okay? It's 60 adjustments, okay, to start getting the structural corrections that we want to see in the spine, okay? Now, with that being said, if you're local, you could come in 3 to 4 times a week. You're not really local. So you're going to notice that most of our patients that are here, okay, are coming from all over the world. For that reason, Dr. Bergman developed a protocol where we can adjust you 3 to 4 times in the same day. Okay, that means that within 3 to 4 days, you'll start noticing changes in symptoms. Okay, around a week and a half, you'll be right around that 30 adjustment mark. That means we retake X-rays and scans at that point. And then at 60 adjustments, we retake scans and X-rays again. That way, not only do you get to feel the difference, but you get to see the difference on those X-rays. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions about any of that?
No.
Now, when you're getting adjusted 3 to 4 times in a day, we do have to separate the adjustments by 90-minute cycles
Okay.
to allow for inflammation to set in and to allow your brain and your body to reconnect. And we're going to be giving you some exercises to stimulate that as well. And to continue the corrections that we do while we're here. And I believe you're already doing a lot of those because you already spoke to Dr. Bergman. So that's really good. Okay? Now, the next time that we meet sitting down like this, it's a separate consultation. It has a separate cost, okay? But it's called a nutrition consult. And I do believe you've already spoken with Dr. Bergman about a lot of what we talk about in that consultation. So you might already be doing a lot of that stuff, but you might not be doing it exactly right. So
Okay.
I would still recommend you do that just to make sure we go over those again, because sometimes it takes more than once for things to really set in and to understand.
Right.
In the nutrition consult, we will talk about eating healthy. We'll talk about detoxing protocols. We'll talk about healing the gut and supplementation. We'll talk about emotional stress, okay, what we can do to address that and help with that. And then we're also going to be talking about sleep and how to reprogram or sleep naturally,
Right.
okay? So even if you've already had that conversation with Dr. Bergman, which you might have, this is going to be a little bit more in depth probably. We're going to give you some handouts. And again, if you have any questions about any of that you might have already started doing, we can narrow it down and really drill down. Okay? Any questions about any of that?
Nope.
Perfect. So I want to do is I'm going to step out. I want to let Claudia come in. She's going to talk to you about how to cover the care, any questions you might have about scheduling. Any other questions that you might have regarding that, and then we'll get you adjusted right after.
Okay.
All right, we start today.
All right.
Tengo a los señores Lazo en la pantalla ahora. Ya saben que viene tarde, entonces ahí les dije que se va a tardar porque va a empezar con la paciente nueva. Le dije que tal vez en 40 minutos.
¿Para qué? Para
una 10 minutos plática con ellos por el problema de próstata del señor y el problema de herida de luz. Se me puse como noche con sol, entonces
sí,
aquí.
That's a lot different than 2 weeks ago.
just doing chiropractic, or also like IVs on the next door?
I don't know. There's not a lot of those.
I mean, did you do any IVs next door?
Oh yeah, last week, yeah, I did. Or the first week I was here.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the anti-inflammatory one. A lot less little things, and they look more rounded. Although some of them are still overlapping.
Yeah, there's still a few, but I mean, we'll compare. I'll bring up
Oh, good.
the previous one. Okay, so this is you now. This was you.
Yeah. Big difference. I forgot what the little tiny dots were.
Symbionts. Now we were seeing green center, meaning that they were not absorbing nutrients because they were in a stress state.
Uh-huh.
Fiber inflammation, which is the little like hairlines going
Mhm.
across. All this good.
Man,
Now-
that's amazing.
But now, I mean, I don't see much of the fiber inflammation. All the cells look, purple. No green centers. Yeah,
Right.
there's still a few that are still overlapping. And
Right.
Also, some that are not round shaped, but yeah, this is better.
First,
Okay.
we're going to go over your scans, okay?
All right.
And we're seeing some really good changes. Now, there's only one area that dropped a little bit, and we shouldn't see that. However, this drop in heart rate variability, and I'll show you the comparison in a minute.
Okay.
This heart rate variability, if you mount back to what this scans are, you want them as close to 95 as possible. Now, heart rate variability is how you're managing stress, okay?
Right.
So it's how much stress you're under and how your body's functioning or managing that stress.
Mhm.
The fact that you're here out of home for 2 weeks, that's a stressor in itself. So sometimes we can see a little bit of a wonky result with this one.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we look at the comparison, or if we go back to what this is, let's go back to what this is. Right, we're seeing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. Sympathetic is your fight or flight stress response. Parasympathetic is your rest, digest, and repair. We want to see you balanced over the center line and high functioning up here. And again, you're still showing more to be in that stress response. So we want to make sure we balance that out when you get back home, doing those IM exercises, focusing on fixing that sleep, right? So that sleep restriction therapy program.
Right.
Okay, continuing your exercises, you should see your body finishing, balancing out, and as more time progresses and you keep that system in check, the more you're going to see it more in a high functioning state. Okay, so this can take a little bit of time, but all in all, we're seeing progressions everywhere else, so we should definitely see that number jump up if you keep this up.
Okay.
Now, when we look at this right here, okay, this is a comparison of your first scans to your second scan. So you can see this is your first visit on the 10th and now the 23rd. So a 13-day gap in between, and the 3 scans that we did, and then the core score. So you jump from a 62 to a 67, and this would have been even a higher jump if it weren't because this one dropped from a 65 to a 58. Okay.
Okay.
But all the other ones, so 58 to 73, so that is the muscle tone imbalance. And we're definitely seeing that on those x-rays. So you're going to see that on those x-rays, you had a lot of correction. So that's really good news. Even with the amount of fusion that you have going on, or the calcification or ossification of those ligaments, we're still seeing improvement. And that's amazing. That's a really good job on your part. And then the rolling thermal jumped up from a 64 to a 74. This is organ and gland control. This one can be affected by medications, toxic foods, basically by toxins, but also by nerve interference.
Right. Okay.
And if we take 100 of these readings, you're going to see fluctuations around 80, around 90, around 80, around 90, and that's just showing a normal metabolic response of breaking down and building up tissue. Okay. So really good job here. You've been doing a lot of hard work, and it shows.
Thank you.
So keep it up. All right. Now the really interesting part. I love this part because this is where we can see some objective changes occurring. So when we look at your first, okay, this is the first X-ray.
Okay.
Okay, and then on the right hand side, you're going to be seeing the now.
So when we look at this x-rays, you started with 7 degrees here, 11 degrees here, and 10 degrees here.
Mm-hmm.
So 7, 11, 18 plus 10, 28 degrees of buckling and bending. And you can really see that. When we look at where you're at now, look at how much you improved.
Wow.
Yep, this is 1 degree here only. So almost a complete correction of this top one. 1 here, 6 here, and 6 here. So you have 13 degrees versus 28 degrees. This is over a 50% correction.
Over 50%?
Over 50% correction. That's about 55% correction right there. And you can even see that your head is not tilting to the side. I mean, you're starting to see those corrections come in and play out. So that's a really, really good job. Okay?
Wow.
Now, when we look at your neck from the side, same thing. You're going to see your initial over here, and now the new one over here. This is definitely showing improvements as well.
Wow.
You went from a 76 millimeter forward head carriage all the way down to a 63 millimeter forward head carriage. So 76 to 63, that's 13 millimeters of improvement.
13 millimeters?
That's about a centimeter. That's about half an inch. Half an inch of improvement in the forward head carriage. That's not nothing, my friend. Every inch, your head doubles in weight.
Right.
Okay? So half an inch is a lot. That's a really good job. And then here, the curve, you went from 148 to 144. So you improved by 4 degrees.
Wow.
Now, you have a pretty nice curve, but we really want to get this back. And that's a challenge because you start fusion right around this area, C6, C7, all the way down to the thoracic spine. Or, again, not fusion, the calcification of the ligaments.
Right.
Calcification of the ligaments. But we're still getting improvements. That's the really cool part. So that's a really good job on your end.
Thank you.
Really good job on your end. Now, your low back is going to be a struggle because you do have that old wedge fracture, right? We're seeing that here. So that complicates things a little bit because that increases this reversal of this curve. However, you can see a little bit of improvement in the bottom here. So this, using that foam piece over that area, that's going to continue to de-stress that area. So use it as much as you can whenever you're sitting down, okay? Because you want to continue to open up that area as much as you can.
Okay.
Get fluid into those discs, de-stress that area of the spine. I mean, this is a challenge because you do have an old fracture there, but we can still get correction. So keep it up, okay? Keep it up. Okay. And then when we look at from the front, okay, there's a little bit less inflammation in that gut area, okay, even though you've been out of town for a while.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the curves, you went from 7 degrees here. Remember, it's 180 minus 173, so 7 degrees here.
Okay.
And 12 degrees here. So 19 degrees of buckling and bending, down to 2 degrees here, rounds up, and rounds up 5 degrees here.
Wow.
So you went from, we said 7 and 12, 19 degrees, down to 2 and 5, 7. So 19 to 7. Again, that right there, no mathematician, but that's around what, 65% correction? Just, again, ballparking it, between 60 and 65% correction. I mean, both the neck, upper back, and the low back are showing over 50% correction. This is only the halfway point.
And that's in 2 weeks.
And that's in 2 weeks, 13 days. Over halfway there as far as structural correction. But again, you still have to work on making sure you get that tissue regeneration improved. Okay. But I mean, awesome job right there. And then when we look at your posture, okay. So you see how you're leaning over into this side, but more importantly, this.
Yeah.
So you went forward, back, and then the head gets thrown forward a whole bunch. When we look at your posture now, and we're seeing how your posture's starting to change. So your brain's starting to recalibrate. Right now, you're leaning over to this side a little bit. But here, look at how much closer your ear is to your shoulder.
Wow.
So look at the comparison here, okay?
Yeah.
Here versus So,
Wow. That's a big difference.
big difference. See how much closer your head is to that green line, your ears much closer to that green line.
Yeah.
That is significant improvement. That knee, you're not bending it as much, and that knee bending is to take stress off of that, the tension off of those nerves in the low
Right.
back. So you're standing straighter now. Look at the knee, the buckling of the knee versus here.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
everything's improving. Okay, you're a lot more in line with that green line everywhere. Just the head goes a little bit off to the side.
Right.
Whereas here, everything's leaning more into that left side, so you're bearing weight more symmetrically now. And that's going to continue to show improvement. That, my friend, is you.
Wow.
Congrats. That's a really good job on your end.
Thank you.
So now let's look at the core score first.
Okay.
So we're always going to have the first one on the left, the second one on the right, just like we read left to right.
Right.
Now, the first one's a heart rate variability. And this is how you view the world. Is the world safe or dangerous? Because your system is going to be either in stress, adaptive response, or regenerative response.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this next one correlates with the x-rays. And this is, the first one is how you view the environment. Is it safe or dangerous? The next one is your ability to adapt. And this one generally correlates with the x-rays because we're measuring muscles that you don't have conscious control over. And then the bottom one is your metabolic state. And a body is never static. You're either tearing down or building tissue. It's like plants. Plants are the same as humans. They're either growing or dying. Nothing is staying the same. And so we need that balance of breakdown and build up. Now, so when you look at this, the structure, the muscle tone and balance improved considerably. Now, the normal range for the organ and gland control should be 70 to 90. The low 60s, it's still in the ballpark, but you are in a catabolic state at that stage where you're breaking down stuff, but it's not dangerous. Okay. If it was in the 50s or 40s, it means you're either nutrient deficient or you're not absorbing them. So this now being 74 from 64 to 74, that means you're what's called, oh God, what's that term? Oh, normal. Okay. So I know, Bill, don't freak out on me, brother. Okay, so this one correlates to the x-ray, so we'll see some changes. But now the heart rate variability is what you were looking at, and this is cool.
Yeah.
So when
Why
we look at
lower, I should be higher.
No, you shouldn't be. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Imagine if you and me, okay, let's say we're watching when a Steven Seagal movie back when Steven Seagal was cool. Okay. So he's on a train, he's saving the girl, bombs are going off everywhere. You are watching the movie with me. We're sitting in a couch, okay? But you will be in a fight or flight state. Then all of a sudden a commercial comes on and it's a Hallmark commercial. We see a puppy running through the field. We're instantly in the green. Okay, you're driving your car. You instantly go over here if somebody cuts you off. If you're listening to your favorite song, you're over here. Okay, so this is going to be changing, and then it goes on acute and chronic. And just like you got the X and the Y coordinates, so when you're looking up this area on both of these, okay, this area and this area, so if I was able to cross this area and cross this area out that goes all the way down, that's an acute stress state. So even though you got a lower score, you're just about the same level. You're just in more of an acute stress state. And this can be from, well, three different things: physical, chemical, emotional stress. Right. And that's why we teach the emotional component, doing the heart math breathing, the visualization technique, the neurolinguistic programming to reprogram the emotional component. And then we have the physical and chemical component. That's why we're recommending the apple, carrot, beet, and celery to clean up the blood. Okay, so this right here is more an acute stress response. The dangerous one is over here. Low parasympathetic is where heart attacks happen. So
Oh,
you are just in a physically stressed state, or chemically stressed, or emotionally stressed. And so all three of those have to be addressed. And so this right here is how you view the world, your ability to adapt to the world, and your metabolic state. Okay, so there is stressors going on. So now let's look at the structure. Okay, does that make sense? So all it means
yeah,
is stressors.
right.
Yeah, and
So I was kind of normal there.
oh yeah, no, you're normal on both of them.
Oh, okay.
You're absolutely normal.
So
Okay.
the parasympathetic, oh, I thought that was the mellow state.
No, sympathetic means fight or flight, means you're running away from danger.
Right.
Means that there is something that's keeping you on edge. And this is going
Right.
to interrupt sleep patterns. It's going to interrupt bowel function, and it's going to interrupt your body's ability to regenerate. But when we see this now, even though you're in a sympathetic state, okay, your ability to regenerate's better.
Oh, okay.
Even though you're in a sympathetic state, your body is able to adapt better.
Okay.
Okay, so now
But you're
there's only
saying that
three.
if you're in a red area in the parasympathetic state,
It's still
you
that's
can
low
go for a heart
parasympathetic,
attack.
and this is why the two areas blend. Low parasympathetic and sympathetic, they're the
Okay.
same, kind of. Okay,
Oh,
it just when you got low parasympathetic, this is where heart attacks happen. That's a dangerous area. Okay, this right here is a stress response. This will thicken up blood, interrupt sleep patterns, and everything else.
okay.
So in 2 weeks, you're not going to get from here to here unless you've radically altered your sleep, you mastered your emotional state, you've completely cleaned up the blood where it's working good. That's a whole different world.
I
Okay,
I think
so
I think the reason why it's lower, and not to have excuses or anything, but um, I had trouble sleeping there at the motel.
I know.
The bed was very uncomfortable,
Mhm.
so I didn't get a very good, sleep. So that could have
I
contributed to the low number.
I don't think I've made this. This is an acute stress state.
Right.
And so you went from chronic to acute. So that's why I'm saying your body's responding correctly based on the stimulus. So this
Right.
would be poor sleep patterns,
Right.
emotional stress, or gamma. There's only three, brother.
I know. I know. I'm getting it
Yeah,
memorized.
yeah.
And
So now let's look at the knees. The knees are in really good shape, kinda.
yeah.
Okay, the joint itself is friggin' beautiful, man. The problem is it's compressed, and we're showing where you can start to see the meniscus here. That means it's
Mhm.
a tissue production problem. So the knee is not the problem; it's an alarm telling you that there's dysfunction of the calf down below and of the lumbar. So that calf stretch is going to be really good. The knee dangling is going to be really good, but also see the patella, the shadow over here,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be in the middle. Okay,
Right.
so but that's not a defect of the quadricep. So the whole knee thing here is an alarm telling you that there's something going on in the lumbar. So you correct the knee by doing the foot on a block stretch, dangling the knee, and then the sitting with a foam roll that will help restore the nerve supply to this area. And then cleaning up the blood will hydrate the discs. Okay, so that's the knees are gorgeous. Now what we got here is before and after. And yes, you can tell it's you. Look at the smile. Okay, brother. Without skin, everybody smiles. Okay. I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
Now, I'm going to blow this up so you can see it a little bit more clear.
Okay.
This is based on 180 degrees. So 172.79 would round up to 173. 173 is 7 away from 100. So this would be a 7-degree bend, or 180. Okay. This would be an 11-degree bend. This would be a 10-degree bend. So we're talking 10 and 11, that's 20, 21, and 7, 28-degree buckling of the spine. The 7-degree bend is down to 1. The 11-degree bend is down to 6. And the 10-degree bend is down to 6. So we have a 13-degree from 28-degree. So a little bit more than 50% correction. Now, this area I like looking at first because, brother, this is the toughest area of the body, the toughest area to damage, and the toughest area to correct. So you had some significant trauma to dent the rib cage area. Because, I mean, when you look at those martial art guys and they'll put a concrete block in their chest and hit it with a sledgehammer and they live. So, and x-rays can do 3 things: get worse, get better, or no change. Okay, a 50% correction in 2 weeks is exceptional. This is when we got to go back, high five your grandpa because he gave you some good genes. Now, this posture, we can see that your posture is off to the side. Okay, and the side view, the head's forward, but this was your original posture. Now, they didn't send me the second one, but we can see here that your pelvis is over here. And if you draw a straight line up from the pelvis, the head, and you're talking about an 18-pound head, is laterally shifted about 2.5 inches. So, and I got to tell you, it's a pleasure talking to a guy that understands feet and inches. Okay, because I'd have to say it's about 2.5 centimeters to an inch. I'd have to say it's about 8 centimeters away from normal, which I don't like converting my brain to metric.
Neither do I.
So you got a sledgehammer 2.5 inches off center before, and now it's better. Now, the top of the neck should be over the bottom of the neck. You should have about 145-degree curve. So your curve is decent, but the forward head carriage is huge. Now, we went and see this like hook thing on the back of the skull.
Right. I was wondering what that was. One time it really protruded out.
Yeah, well, that's called the external occipital protuberance. It's on everyone. It's also called the bump of knowledge. The problem is since we're human beings, we're not designed to have your head look down and forward. And so the muscles that support the skull hook on this extended area of the bone. And if your head is down and forward, the tendon gets used beyond its design, so the body changes its matrix to bone. So this is somebody that's had the head down and forward a lot. Now, this is you looking up at the ceiling. And the reason your head has been looking down and forward is because of these deviations in the middle of the chest area. You're rounding your shoulders over to take the pressure off of it because the nerves that supply the heart come out of here. So that is a big deal. Now, the brain doesn't stop at the skull. There's an oblong section of the brain that extends the top third of the neck. Now, see, there's one at the very top of the cervical spine below the skull. There's one line here and one line here, bone here and here. Do you see those two?
Yes,
well,
I
this
do.
is actually one bone. Okay, but it's a circle. Now, if the circle was perfectly aligned, one bone would overlap the other. Okay, since we see both of them, we know the top bone of the neck is twisted. And that literally is putting pressure on the brain stem. And that's a negative. Now, when you look and this is you looking up at the ceiling as best you can, okay, that those two bones start to align, which means by getting the curve back in the neck, we're de-stressing out the upper cervical spine. Now, your head went from 75 millimeters forward head carriage, and this number should be 0 down to 62 millimeters forward head carriage. And that's significant. So it's about a half inch, okay, that you're gone forward. But the curve in the neck didn't change much because it didn't need to. But the forward head carriage means that we de-stressed out the middle thoracic area, so you're able to stand more upright. Okay, and this is going to be the key, because with forward head carriage and pressure on the brainstem, you're going to start noticing some tremors and shaking. Okay, and knowing that right here at the top of the cervical spine and the bottom of the skull, see the hole there on the left? There's less of a hole on the right. That means we're correcting the rotation of C1.
Right.
Here's your lumbar. You got a freaking fantastic. I mean, buddy, x-rays could get worse, better, or no change. This is a 12-degree buckling of the spine down to 6. Okay. This is a 7-degree buckling of the spine down to 3 or 2.5. So we got 2.5 and 6, 8.5-degree buckling versus 12 and 7 or 19-degree buckling. What's 19 from 7? You're looking at about a 70%, 60% correction.
Wow. That's in 2 weeks.
That's exceptional. 30 to 50% correction is common. That's where we're seeing about a 30% correction in the toughest area of the friggin' spine. This is damn. I would high five yourself and take you out to dinner. Okay, now this right here is the original bending to the right. And this, again, you're facing us. So the left-hand side of the film is actually the right-hand side. And then this is the right-hand side of the film is really your left-hand side. You're facing us. This is you attempting to bend one side, attempting to bend the other side. And this is just to see if these joints, if this structure can change. So if this bend here, that 12-degree bend did not change, and the 7-degree bend did not change, then we could not get it. So this is really predictive if those curves change, and both of them changed. So that means that it was predicted that we could get some change. 60% change, I didn't predict.
Wow.
Yeah. So look at the rounding over of the chest or the back here.
Right.
And when we look at normal, you should curve in here at the chest and cervical spine junction. We should curve out here. You're curving out higher than you should because that's your body protecting the heart. Right. So now we're seeing that there's less of a rounding over. So that's why the forward head carriage is so much less. So that's ideal. Yeah. So everything you're doing is good. What we need to do, all the exercises we gave you are ligamentous-based exercises. And they're all designed to correct the abnormal things. Because honest to God, this stuff, a chair, is the worst position for a human being to be in. And that's why changing the sleep patterns is huge. Doing the diaphragm, or the emotional component. Now, they taught you neurolinguistic programming, right?
Right. So did you.
And the visualization part, okay, is not neurolinguistic programming, but it's equally, if not more important. And this is the one where you're doing HeartMath breathing, where when you're breathing, you breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Right.
But your chest and belly expand at the same time. And then what I want you to do is visualize air coming in through your heart area.
Okay.
And this, because the heart is a hormone producing organ. And after you do a few breaths, and I don't know if Dr. George or Blanco talked to you about this one, but this one, we have to activate the limbic system, which the tail end of the limbic system is the structure in the brain called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus because the human body has two communication pathways: electrical through the nervous system and chemical through the hormonal system. The hypothalamus governs both. And this is why, since the limbic system is also called the emotion center, the tail end of that hypothalamus, by changing your emotions, you change your physiology. You literally can raise or lower your blood pressure. This is why those yogi guys, they meditate, they can raise, lower their blood pressure. They could increase gastric motility or decrease it. They could do, think yourself sick and think yourself healthy. This is also why the witch doctor could take a doll, put a pin in the doll, and if you believed you had an emotional connection to that doll, that doll was you would die of a heart attack, or you would die of something. So this is why that if you master your emotions, you're literally going to change your physiology to life and death. And this is not something that we're taught to do. And this is the second hard. It's equally as hard as changing the sleep circadian rhythms, equally, because your brain has between 60 and 90,000 thoughts a day. The problem is 90% of those thoughts are the same you had the day before. So thoughts fall in loops. And if you're practicing tennis 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you get pretty good at tennis. And if you practice stress 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, you get really good at stress. So the brain over the years becomes hardwired. And so what we have to do is change that wiring. So what I need you to do is start to get glimpses. And this was, again, very, very hard. You got to do the breathing to get your mind oxygenated in this state. When the masters were teaching me, they said, pick a time in your life, John, when your soul smiled, when you were totally content with the world. And honest to God, Bill, I had nothing. I mean, when it comes to solving problems and disease, and that is my whole world. That's what I focus in on. Okay. When was I last happy? I don't think about that. And so it took me a while to activate old memories. And it might just be just a fraction of a second. But my first one was a birthday party when I was 5, my mom did. My next impression is I didn't think I had any kids or friends, and there were friends there. The next one was right after my dad died. We were water skiing, and I popped up in that smooth water, and I could see the pine trees in the background. And then the next one was, and so you're not going to hold on to these images in the past because there's memories that haven't really been activated or used in decades. And right. So you have to practice to where you can activate more of the memory. And the more the memories that you activate, you're going to get smells and textures. And I mean, it's going to be amazing. But this you have to use. And that's why I say 10 minutes at least 3 times a day of where you're going to do the HeartMath breathing and activate old memories. Think about when you were backpacking. Think about when you were camping. Think about, when you were at the beach. When I was running through the hammock. There you go, laying in the hammock, looking up at the trees, making pictures out of the clouds.
Yeah.
When I told my ex-wife this, I said, okay, now where are you? Because she was breathing. She says, okay, John, I'm at the mall and there's sales on. So hence she's my ex.
Yeah.
But you need to use that stimulus to recognize when your brain is firing in that stress pattern. That's when you're going to start to do it.
Right.
Okay.
I noticed that with music, if a certain music, like back in the 70s, a lot of the, groups like Elton John and all that, sometimes certain songs will take you back into the past, into a time when you were happy, you were running around and playing with friends and stuff like that. It's just wonderful. My only question is, I have no trouble with the belly. Does the chest really have to come out? Because I can only go so far with the chest.
Yep. And that's because you're hyperkyphotic. If
Okay.
if when you sit with that foam roll, you're
Yeah.
restoring the curve in the low back, and you'll find it easier to breathe.
Oh, okay.
The reason that the rounding over the shoulders that we
Right.
have to correct, because try it with me right now. Round your
Okay.
shoulders over even further. And I mean really, really round.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can't
now
do it.
try and deep breathe in and expand your chest. Can't do it because
Uh-uh.
everything's compressed. Now, sit, throw your shoulders back,
Right.
and now you can do it. Okay, not as
Right.
well, but you can do it.
Right.
And so this is why hyperkyphosis means there's more rounding over the shoulders. This is why that kills people early, because you can't breathing is one of your detox pathways. It also puts your body in a parasympathetic state because you're alkalinizing your system by getting rid of the carbon dioxide. And that
Right.
little 1 kilo brain, 2-pound brain, burns 90% of the body's oxygen. So this is hugely important when you look at that. Oxygen is important to your brain function, your immune system, and your detox pathways.
Yeah.
Because if you can't breathe, your kidneys are going to be working harder than they should. It's going to be poor digestion. Okay, you're going to poor metabolism. You're going to have weight in the belly, seat, and thighs, all connected to poor breathing. So everything, if you're working at a computer and you're really into it, okay, every hour, put your elbows on the desk, lift
Yeah.
up, and relax your shoulders so all the weight's on your thumbs, and
Yeah.
then deep breathe.
Yeah.
So getting that curve back, reducing it is going to be fantastic.
Right.
There's
I
also
do this.
one
I do
exactly
this
just like
too.
that. Exactly.
Yeah.
But make
I
sure
do
all
that a
the way
lot.
to your chin. Now, there's one more exercise that you're going to start doing, and this is painful. Okay, so you're only going to be doing it for 5 minutes. And you can have like lay on the floor, or if you have a really big cutting board, you can put the cutting board on your bed and lay on that. But you're going to use that foam roll, which normally the bottom of the elbow is the bottom of the roll. This time you're going to put it in between your shoulder blades. The same thing, it's going to be running horizontal. But when you lay back, okay, your head will not touch the ground. Exactly.
You kind of aspire, a lot of us, to become chiropractic, and which maybe that's a possibility. I mean, you're a year older than me, and you do this stuff on a daily basis.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still young. I mean, I'm going to be
Yeah.
66 in a couple of weeks. So in my brain, I have 30 good years left, and I'll probably be strong for at least 20.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So in my brain,
Yeah.
So
That's
66.
that's my thinking too. But I'm also like Michael, where I like teaching. I like, I'm almost being, what do you call? I'm telling everybody at work. I'm saying, you guys, I'm glad I found this handout in Tijuana.
Yeah.
On the
Brilliant
forward hand.
handout,
I
isn't it?
can't see it too good, but it had everything that. Remember the first day? Remember the first Zoom call we did? Remember, I'm so embarrassed to watch it because I was so emotionally a wreck. And then when I read all this information, I'm going, this is exactly what I'm going through. So I'm going to make copies of this. I'm going to, share it with. I even got my former boss who still works there. I told him, you got to get up every hour and walk. At least get up and walk. I said, I
Yep.
see him sitting there. I mean, he's not far behind me. He's in his 50s. He's almost 60. And his dad died of a heart attack in his 50s. And I said, dude, you need to get up. I mean, you sit there for hours in front of that computer. I said, because he used to have a stand-up desk. I use all these lift desks and stuff. And so now he gets up every hour and he goes, Bill, I'm going to do my walk now.
You're changing lives. You are a chiropractor.
Yeah. And another thing too is I've been sending out emails to chiropractors here in Southern Oregon to see if they were interested in learning. I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but in my mind is the Bergman techniques of chiropractic. But I don't know if that's
Yeah,
correct.
it is. It's my, I've stole from a whole bunch of different, but that's every doctor. All the
Right. And
techniques they stole from the ones before.
so I went on Chat GPT and I put all that information in, and it created like an email. And I
Oh,
said, if
bitch.
you're interested in learning, these techniques, contact, to contact
Awesome.
you. And so I'm working on that. So far I haven't had any response, but I just
Buddy,
it's
you're getting the information out.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome.
You know.
Okay, now we can meet like this anytime. Okay, if you got
Okay.
any questions to go over anything in detail. Eventually we'll be meeting in person and I'll get you your 30th adjustment.